Welcome into the show. It's a Victory Friday here on Philadelphia Eagles Now after the Birds beat down the Minnesota Vikings last night on Thursday Night Football. We appreciate all of you for stopping by and watching the program as the Eagles are 2-0. We're going to recap this game, and there's plenty to go over after that matchup last night, now going into Week 3 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for Philadelphia. As for what we're talking about here on Eagles Now Live, is Avonte Maddox going to be out for the rest of the year because of a torn pectoral muscle? We'll talk about that right off the rip. Eagles-Vikings takeaways. We'll do Eagles winners and losers from that Thursday night game. Pressing questions about the Birds moving forward, and we'll also do a mailbag. We hope that all of you join the show, be a part of the show. Couple of ways for you to do that. Use the hashtag Eagles Better Yet Super Chat to get on the show. But first, I want you to judge, and I want you to look at what the Eagles have done in these first two games. And to start the show, I want you to grade the Eagles' performance in those two victories. A, B, C, D, or F, let me know right now down in the comments section. We'll start to give you some shout-outs here. Giordano saying hello. David Marcello, Real Jones, Xavier going A. Peter Thurman C. Robert C. I think it's like B minus for the Eagles up to this point. Luffy going C minus. I can certainly see where people are coming from if they're going with that C range. But this is what's crazy is that the Eagles have not played their best football up to this point. Yet despite that, they are still 2-0 to start the season with another winnable game coming up Monday night against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Jeremy Fowler with this tweet that really is pretty impressive for what Philadelphia and its young players have been able to do. But we saw DeAndre Swift go off last night, and the Eagles have gone all in on these Georgia Bulldogs. How about what these Bulldogs are doing for this football team, especially last night? DeAndre Swift, that they're only having 2 touches in Week 1, 28 carries, 175 yards, and a touchdown. Jordan Davis last night, limited snap count, 1 sack, 2 quarterback hits. Yet Jalen Carter with the TFL. And then Keely Ringo had that fumble recovery on that return. So these Georgia Bulldogs really bringing the heat for the Eagles in the early going, making Howie Roseman look like a very smart man. Now, a lot of you here are wondering about Avonte Maddox. And we talked about this a little bit earlier on the show. And we released this video earlier this afternoon that, according to John Clark, NBC Sports Philadelphia, sources told him that there's worry. Avonte Maddox tore his pec muscle last night. He was getting an MRI this morning. Now, that's a pretty severe injury as far as the recovery timeline, because you hurt your pec, you tear your pec, you're trying to disengage from another player, you're trying to make a tackle. You can't even do a simple push-up to maintain that strength. So if it is indeed a torn pec, that would mean that Avonte Maddox is most likely out for the remainder of the 2023 season. And it's pretty difficult to sustain top-tier health. Ever since Nick Sirianni came to Philadelphia, the Eagles as an organization, they changed the medical staff. They've gone about their practices in a different way. We know Nick did not play the starters at all throughout the preseason. They've been top 5 in injury rate in 2 years under Sirianni. But now you're starting to see this defensive depth get affected and tested here 2 games into the 2023 regular season. And why this loss hurts Philadelphia and its defense, Avonte Maddox is a very good slot cornerback. Now, he has been injured a lot throughout his career. Last year he had the toe, years before that, foot stuff. He always seems to be dealing with injuries, and he's a smaller player. So I think that's a big reason why. But when he's on the field, very good slot cornerback, does have a knack for making big plays. Last night, he was the one who dislodged that football that led to one of the 4 Vikings turnovers in the first 31 games of action. And the Eagles, not only do they get banged up at corner here, they're already banged up at linebacker. They're not that deep at safety. So that defensive depth going through the rigors in the early portion of this season. Now, the good news for Philadelphia is that in the initial roster cutdowns, the Eagles did a good job, I think, of stacking up some really quality depth pieces in that secondary. And you look ahead, I think they're in a really good spot for where their depth is if injuries do happen. You know, James Bradbury goes out last night because he's in concussion protocol. Josh Jobe steps in, plays well. Mario Goodrich, after some rough early moments, he started to make some solid plays. So without Avonte Maddox, I think you're looking at Goodrich, who can fulfill his shoes there. You have Josh Jobe. Maybe we see more from Eli Ricks and Keely Ringo. A lot of good young players who Philadelphia, outside of the vets, in Slay and James Bradbury, can start to develop and get them some run and get them geared up for when the playoffs come around. How you can survive not having Avonte Maddox, it's the aforementioned Josh Jobe and Mario Goodrich. Those are the capable backups right now. I'm not sure if Howie Roseman is going to make a move now and immediately. Maybe he surveys the roster. He sees what happens over the next couple of weeks. But I think as we look forward to the 2024 NFL draft, in which Philadelphia, once again, able to stockpile a lot of draft assets, maybe you look to draft a corner early who can fill in for Avonte Maddox if you want to get rid of that contract. You're not confident in him continuing to stay healthy. With that, we have about 80 people watching live. Make sure as you come into the show, you hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. More likes that we get, the more people who hang out, the better that the show will be, because we want more eyeballs here. So let's get the comment section going once again. It's a Victory Friday for the Birds. Where are you watching from? We want to hear from you down in the chat. We're in the Chat Sports Studios right now, but where are you? Let us know. We'll start to give you some shout-outs here. David Marcella with the $20 Super Chat. That's something that you love to see. Let's start this right. Seeing I've missed the live game shows that you've been doing, A.J. Brown will be fine. Swift had a great game. So did Smith. DeVonta he's talking about. It's starting to come together. It's starting to come together, and can you imagine, David, what happens when everything comes together for Philadelphia? When offense is clicking, the defense is clicking, and they're able to really combine this complete football team into a unit that has synergy and plays all three phases in one game. That can be very scary, and we appreciate David Marcella for tuning into the show. And yes, you're right. You've missed a couple of our great watch parties. Last night, most viewed watch party in the history of this channel, well over 120,000 views. Week 1, 94,000 views. So it's great to have David Marcella back. He also gets a gold sticker, which he is going to now belong on the Eagles hard hat. After the watch party last night, I was able to add a couple of gold stickers. Look how incredible this thing is looking. It's a Friday, a Victory Friday. We're putting on our hard hats. We're going to work, man. Go Birds. You know the deal. That's what we're doing here on Philadelphia Eagles Now Live. So want to thank everybody, by the way, because we continued to get views even after we signed off for our watch party, myself and Chip. It was a great show last night. Appreciate everybody for being there. As I said, 127,000 views during that watch party last night. Stupid numbers. 1,000 new subscribers. And now we're live here on this Friday afternoon to continue to recap everything here on the show. If anybody wants to send in a super chat today, we're hurting a little bit from last night. We took down a lot of drinks, but we're still down to have some fun, as we always are. Any super chats that come in $10 or more, you go on the hard hat here. And if anybody sends in a first-time super chat, then you also get on the hard hat. Want to give a shout-out to our super chat MVPs last night. Romeo Talon was the winner of our Eagles turnover chain. He sent in a $150 super chat and a $100 super chat. 6-ball CP, he's certainly a real one, sent in $101. Eugene Krabs, 77, and then Lion Fighter sent in that 50. So those are our super chat MVPs from that Thursday night football watch party. Our audience is going to continue to grow all throughout the day, but we also want to hear from you on the show because we are going to be doing a mailbag here on the program. Use hashtag Eagles, better yet, super chat, to literally ask us anything that you want. That's hashtag Eagles or super chat to ask us anything all throughout the day. 2 segments planned and then a mailbag. We'll be live for about an hour or so. We're about to officially start the real show here on Eagles Now Live. First, though, if you're happy with the 2-0 start, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. Yes, you heard that right. If you're happy that the Eagles are 2-0, I need you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. Everybody watching the show right now should be smashing that piece because the Birds are 2-0, haven't played their best football. But what did I say going into the season? You had an easy portion to kick off 2023, had to take advantage of it before that tough stretch in the middle portion of the 2023 slate, and that's what the Eagles are doing right now. They are taking care of business. So continue to hit that thumbs up icon, like the video. The official show is about to start right now. Let's do winners and losers from that Eagles-Vikings game last night, and let's talk some Birds. So the Philadelphia Eagles 2-0 after taking down the Minnesota Vikings in Week 2 on Thursday Night Football. So coming your way on today's show, winners and losers for the Birds coming out of that matchup. First, though, today's show would not be possible if it was not for True Classic. You can get 25% off polos like this by using the promo code chat. We're going to put that link in the comment section and in the description of this video. I just want to tell you very quickly about what True Classic brings to the table because it's become a staple of my wardrobe. High quality shirts. I like how they fit. They're also very affordable. Their shirts and polos come in packs as well, so that if you get those, not only do you get 25% off, but you get multiple in the process. True Classic has become my go-to destination for polos, tees, shorts, jeans, and other closet essentials. I love how their shirts fit and feel, offering us fellas premium products without the premium price tag. Believe me, once you try these shirts from True Classic, you'll never go back to regular basics. But seriously, whatever you choose, can't go wrong with them. All their clothing, from t-shirts, shorts, button-ups, it's designed to be versatile and work with your lifestyle so that you can look and feel your best all damn day. Kind of like the Eagles in all sets of their jerseys because they have some fresh unis. In fact, True Classic's so committed to their products, they even have a 100% risk-free guarantee and easy return. So one more time, it's trueclassic.com/chat. Use that promo code and that link to get 25% off your order. We'll put that link in the comment section as well as in the description of this video. And that link is going in the chat of our live show right now. Without further ado, Philadelphia Eagles winners against the Minnesota Vikings. Let's dive right in. DeAndre Swift, probably the most clear winner after that Thursday Night Football matchup. And this came after he only got 2 touches in Week 1 against the New England Patriots. And all throughout the week, going into that matchup against Minnesota, I had said, it's play calling and game planning malpractice if you don't give your most explosive and talented back more than 2 touches. And Sirianni even said after that Patriots game, that's on me. It'll never happen again. And our announcement here on Eagles Now and the message we want to pass along to the Philadelphia native who had quite the homecoming at the Link. Congratulations, DeAndre Swift. You are now the Philadelphia Eagles lead running back. So we have to change up that RB depth chart because Kenneth Gainwell, in my opinion, after just what Swift displayed, power, size, elusiveness, explosiveness, home run threat, physicality, the balance, those are skills. And him as a player, he's just so much better than Kenneth Gainwell. Again, that's not a knock on Gainwell. Very good RB2 and a good change of pace back who, like Swift, can catch the ball out of the backfield. I can't wait to see what Swift can do in the screen game as his role evolves. We saw Rashad Penny last night after he was inactive for that season opener, and then Boston Scott sprinkled in there as well. But for Swift, the true star of the show. And I thought on Thursday night, once the Eagles started to give him the football, the offensive line started to get downhill, that's when the Eagles found their groove, and the Minnesota Vikings could not stop it. The Birds ran for more than 40 times and 250-plus yards, and they disrespected Minnesota in that game, all led by Swift's 28 carries, 175 yards, 6.3 yards per touch. So what a homecoming for DeAndre Swift. He's from Philly, went to St. Joe's Prep. Type Philly in the chat to welcome him back to the city of brotherly love. Eagles winner number 2, DeVonta Smith. Linked up on a couple of explosive plays downfield with Jalen Hurts. I thought the first long ball from Hurts on the opening drive in which Smitty had some moss, the safety, still came down with the catch, was a little bit underthrown. Could have been a walk-in touchdown if Hurts let him, but then they linked up a little bit later. It was a great play by Jalen Hurts. Jordan Hicks was sent home on the blitz. He hit Hurts straight in the chest, stopped his arm motion, but Hurts was able to display that strong arm and get it to DeVonta Smith, who was wide open, taking the top off of the defense. A very explosive night for Smitty. 4 catches, 131 yards, that touchdown, which went 63 yards. And that was one of those plays where you finally watched the Eagles offense looking like that 2022 team from last year with that aerial attack. Winner number 3, Jordan Davis. 2 games into the season, I think it's become pretty clear that the 2022 first-round pick out of Georgia looks to be a lot comfortable and a lot further ahead of where he was as a rookie. That's understandable. Only played 17 snaps. This wasn't a quote-unquote Jordan Davis game because the Minnesota Vikings air it out a lot, and they don't run the football often. So that's why Jordan Davis only played those 17 snaps at 6'6", 340 pounds. But he made his impact be known because with those 17 snaps that he logged, had a sack, had a tackle for loss, and had 2 quarterback hits, one of them on a play where he threw the interior offensive lineman to the side like a rag doll, hit Kirk Cousins, and his ability to stay on his feet at that size was freaky athletic. Winner number 4 for Philly, Josh Sweat. 2 games in, he's been the Eagles' best pass rusher at defensive end / edge rusher. Hassan Reddick has kind of been missing to start the season. Maybe he's still hurting from that thumb injury. Didn't get to partake in a lot of practices throughout training camp. Might be rounding into his season shape. But Josh Sweat, he's in great shape, and he's playing great ball. 40 snaps against Minnesota. Had a sack. 5 quarterback hits on Kirk Cousins with 1 tackle. And for Sweat, the Minnesota Vikings had a lot of attrition at left tackle. Christian Darrisaw came into that game banged up, tried to suit up, couldn't give it a go. Their backup left tackle could not play in that game, so they were down to their 3rd-string tackle. Kirk Cousins was seeing ghosts on his backside because Josh Sweat was coming for his ass. And then at number 5, the Georgia Bulldogs. They're making Howie Roseman look really smart for drafting a bunch of them, and then in the case of DeAndre Swift, trading for him. This from Jeremy Fowler, that the Eagles Georgia Bulldogs project seems to be working out just fine. From Thursday Night Football, Swift, 28 totes, 175 yards and a touchdown. Jordan Davis, 1 sack, 2 quarterback hits. Jalen Carter was good once again. He had a tackle for loss and was throwing cats to the side and out the club like a bouncer. And then Keely Ringo, 1 fumble recovery on special teams. So the Bulldogs, it's also funny, like the Eagles play this style. It's not ugly, but they're winning a lot of games. Sometimes Georgia didn't really pop, but they still won a lot of games and 2 national championships. These guys know how to win football games and how to contribute for a winning football team. Before we get to our losers, make sure you subscribe to the show. Picked up another 1,000 subscribers on our Thursday Night Football watch party. We'll be back for Week 3 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Looking to smash those numbers as well. But let's continue to grow the Eagles Now empire, and let's get to 53,000 subscribers. Let's do it for Hugh Douglas. He's dealing with a difficult time right now after his son passed away tragically in Atlanta. Eagles losers. Britton Covey, you fumbled a punt. And the Eagles elevated you from the practice squad prior to that game. There's one more time in which Philadelphia can elevate Britton Covey as well as Aaron Sipos. And then after that, if they want them to be members of this 2023 team, they have to sign them to the active roster. When you fumble the football like that, trying to extend the play, stay on your feet, could have changed the game where Minnesota could have taken over the football deep in your own territory. That's how you win. That's how you lose ball games, That's how you win if you're Minnesota. Covey just can't force it, and he's feeling the pressure right now, being on the fringe of that roster. Jalen Hurts, loser number 2 for Philadelphia, and I understand he hasn't played his best football. I'm not ripping the Eagles QB1. I'm not going to go as far as to say I'm concerned. But the numbers and the eye test through 2 games tells you that Jalen Hurts simply has not been the quarterback in 2023 that we anticipated. Him being after he finished runner-up in MVP last year. Sheil Kapati on his podcast for The Ringer with my boy Cliff Augustine. There have been 600 quarterback performances going back to the start of last year. Hurts' performance against the Vikings ranked 593 out of 600 in success rate. The first 2 weeks of the season, his success rates have been lower than in any game all of last year. Again, I'm not hitting the panic button. Hurts can turn it around. And my point, my big takeaway out of this 2-0 start, can you imagine what Philadelphia is going to be able to do and look like when everything comes together in a synergetic way? That's probably not even a word. If they're able to kind of just come together and gel collectively as a team, if Hurts can find his groove. Avonte Maddox, another loser here because Maddox continues to be injured. It seems as though every single year he's dealing with something, and he might be out for the rest of the year. John Clark, NBC Sports Philadelphia, with this report on Friday morning that sources tell me there is worry that Avonte Maddox tore his pec muscle last night. He was getting an MRI this morning. If that is indeed the injury, and we're recording this on Friday during our live show, reacting to what transpired on Thursday night, most likely out for the year. And why this loss hurts is that Maddox is a good slot cornerback, very good compliment to James Bradbury and Darius Slay. He's been banged up a lot, but when he's been on the field, has a knack for making big plays, forced a fumble against Minnesota on Thursday night. The Eagles are already thin at a couple of positions at the second and third level of that defense, now even more so now, linebacker, corner, safety, and the Eagles' defensive depth getting tested here. And then our last loser for the Eagles against the Vikings, Kenneth Gainwell. All throughout the offseason, training camp, preseason, he was utilized as RB1. He was treated like an RB1. That's why going into week 1, he was literally the starter and got most of the carries. Out because of injury in week 2, DeAndre Swift took advantage of his opportunities, and we saw the special flash for Swift as compared to Gainwell just being a solid player. So let me know, your biggest winner and loser from week 2. Drop me a couple of names down below in the comments section. Bird Gang, share your thoughts. We appreciate you for watching the show as always. And don't forget to lock us in and hit that subscribe button. All right, segment number 1 in the canister. We're going to continue to move forward with our coverage on this Victory Friday, live here on Eagles Now. So glad all of you are here with us. 131 people watching live, only 43 likes though. Please make sure you hit that thumbs up icon and like the video to support the show. Any super chats that come in today, $10 or more, or any first-time super chatters, you're going on the Eagles hard hat. We're a hard-working crew here at Chat Sports. On Eagles Now, blue-collar city, lunch pail to work type of crew, hard hat to work type of crew. That's why we have our hard hat here. Get your questions in, by the way. We have one more segment to do, and then we're going to do a mailbag. So I want to take all of your questions. I know all of you are very smart, intellectual football fans. I know you have questions. I know you have some analysis you want to pass along. You have some takes and opinions about this football team. Do you want those featured on the show for thousands of people to see worldwide? If that's the case, use the hashtag Eagles to get those questions in right now. David Marcella, another $10 super chat. He's pacing things so far, and he agrees with me in saying that Britton Covey, a loser last night. He said, I'm glad you said Covey. They should use Penny as the punt returner. I can't stand Covey. It's not going to be Penny, but could it be a different player? Because Rashad Penny is a physical back who kind of lacks that short area explosion. He also doesn't have experience as a punt returner in the NFL. So it won't be him, but Olamide Zaccheaus, could he be a better option? Does he elevate Greg Ward from the practice squad? Those are options. 570 N3R, I'm worried about Jalen Hurts. We're going to talk about Hurts coming up here in just a moment. I'm not going to press the panic button right now. Basically what he's done first 2 weeks, gone up against Bill Belichick and then a Bill Belichick disciple. Brian Flores learned under Bill Belichick. They definitely combined for a game plan. So for Hurts and this Eagles offense, they've struggled, right? But last night I thought it was a really good sign, them being able to establish the run, because what did that do? Opened up the pass game. If they can get a little bit more complimentary, I think that the explosive plays will come about. and I think Jalen Hurts will start to find his groove. If there's one guy we know who's going to work his ass off, it's, of course, Jalen Hurts. All right, coming up next on the show, just a lot of analysis that I want to pass along after this football game on Thursday night, and it's going to allow you to become a smarter fan. We're at 50 likes right now. Can we get to 60 before we start this segment? 135 people kicking it with us once again on this Victory Friday. We're glad that you're here. And without further ado, let's get into segment number 2 right here on Eagles Now. Then we'll do our mailbag. Like I said, start getting those questions in right now. So you're doing yourselves a favor by tuning into today's Philadelphia Eagles Now, because on today's show, you're going to become a smarter Eagles fan. We're going to discuss the latest Eagles news, trends, analysis right here on the program, because there's certainly a lot to talk about with this team sitting at 2-0, which is great, but they haven't really come together in all phases yet, and they've played a muddy style through those 2 games. Speaking of that 2-0 start, if you're happy about it, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. When the schedule came out all throughout this offseason, I had said, look, for Philadelphia here, very tough middle stretch of the season when you're taking on teams like the Miami Dolphins, the San Francisco 49ers, Buffalo Bills, Kansas City Chiefs, Dallas Cowboys, Seattle Seahawks. You have to start off fast. Philadelphia, it may have looked ugly through 2 games, but at least they're off to that 2-0 start. If you're about that life, hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. So let's start off with this. And this is a reason to be a little bit concerned with this football team at this juncture of the season. They could be in a worse spot. They could be like the Minnesota Vikings right now at 0-2. Impossible, pretty much, to make the playoffs after beginning the campaign like that. But the Eagles were up 16-0 against the New England Patriots and 27-7 against the Minnesota Vikings. They ended up escaping Foxborough by the skin of their teeth, 25-20, as the Patriots had the ball with an opportunity to win that game in the final seconds. And then against Minnesota, 27-7, that evaporates. It becomes 27-21. And you're thinking, watching that game, whether you're at the link, watching our watch party, or at the crib, or at a bar, are the Eagles really going to blow this football game? So they have to be a little bit better in maintaining their leads and then extending them, but it's pretty impressive that they have been far from their best, far from the form that we saw last year, yet they're still able to build monumental leads like that. The spin zone on this, Eagles haven't played a complete game yet, and they're still 2-0. Props to the defense as well, because I thought especially against Minnesota, Philadelphia, under a first-year defensive coordinator and Sean Desai, who's shown me some solid things so far to start the season. This is an Eagles defense that held up well against a desperate team and a pretty good passing attack that was without James Bradbury, your cornerback 2, Nakobe Dean, your starting and best off-ball linebacker, Reed Blankenship, your starting safety, and Avonte Maddox went out with that pec injury in the second quarter of this game. So a lot of young players and new players were thrust into larger roles against the Vikings. Nicholas Morrow played 55 snaps after getting elevated up from the practice squad after he got cut and didn't make the initial 53. He made some plays last night. I got to give him credit. I was impressed with the range. Josh Jobe stepped in. He played 58 snaps. Mario Goodrich with 39. Now, I thought early Jobe and Goodrich had some misses, and the Eagles in that secondary in general had some coverage breakdowns. The pass play to Jordan Addison probably shouldn't happen. Goodrich, if he could have tackled TJ Hawkinson on that touchdown and had that opportunity back, he would probably take that. Some things to work through, but when young players don't play a lot or they're inexperienced within the scheme of this defense, they're prone to making some mistakes, especially on that other touchdown to KJ Osborne in which he cut across the field and Josh Jobe just didn't follow him. Like, those things can be worked out with reps and playing time. I also want to talk about this. The Philadelphia Eagles, ladies and gentlemen, disrespected the Minnesota Vikings, and it was a beautiful sight. You have grown men going up against grown men, and the Eagles ran the ball 48 times for 259 yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. They took the will and the soul out of the Minnesota Vikings, and you could tell that was a team on the other sideline that was deflated. Why? They got their asses kicked. not just by the Eagles' offensive line, but the Eagles' defensive line, able to take a stranglehold of this game. So as we look ahead to week 3 now, could be a sneaky matchup depending on what the Bucs do this week in week 2. PHI for the Eagles, TB for the Bucs. Who are you going with in week 3? It's going to be a Monday Night Football game, and we'll be doing a watch party for it right here on Eagles Now. More takeaways, observations, trends, and analysis coming up just around the corner. But first, today's Eagles Now is sponsored by AG1. I literally take AG1 every single morning, and it sets the foundation for the rest of my day. After y'all hit me with a bunch of super chats during that Vikings watch party, I was feeling a little bit rough when I woke up on Friday morning. I take down AG1, and it's 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients, and I was able to bounce back. Why I love AG1, clean ingredients, it gives me sustained energy, it boosts my focus, it supports my immunity. What's also great, it promotes your gut health as well. And if you're looking for convenient and consistent nutrition that's easy, AG1 is where it's at. We have a great deal for everybody watching the program here today. 5 free travel packs with your first purchase and a year's supply of vitamin D. So like I said, if you're looking for a comprehensive and convenient daily nutrition option, drink ag1.com/chatsports. That link is hanging out down in the comment section as well as in the description of this video. You make this a part of your routine, I promise you, you will feel better. I like taking it after I work out to replace what I lose when I go on my runs and after I lift weights. More Eagles observations and pressing questions as well. Where's Hassan Reddick? Is Hassan Reddick still injured? If you remember, he had to undergo that thumb surgery a couple of weeks ago, and that coupled with the fact that he barely participated in any practices and no preseason games throughout the offseason, I think has impacted his play to start 2023. We're talking about a player who finished 4th in Defensive Player of the Year voting last year. He had 16 sacks, 3.5 more in the playoffs. He was a game wrecker, but so far through 2 games, 0 sacks. And I think this Eagles pass rush, as far as getting home, they've been able to come through with a lot of quarterback pressures, quarterback hits, double digits in both games so far. If they start to get home, that's when you can see that impact of them really living up to their expectations. Will the sacks come in bunches for Hassan Reddick? I'm not panicking with that either, but off to a slow start. I think that's a byproduct of him being injured a lot in the preseason and in training camp with the groin and then the thumb surgery, trying to round into football shape without a lot of football reps. For Jalen Hurts, there's no doubt about it, through 2 games this season has looked pretty pedestrian. Yet the good news is that Philadelphia is still 2-0. If you're going to count on a player to get it right, if you're going to count on a player to dive through the tape and really try to correct his flaws and weaknesses, it's Hurts. I love his mentality. The Eagles also have a pretty special weapon right now with their special teams unit, Jake Eliot. In week 1, he was named NFC Special Teams Player of the Week as he hit multiple kicks from 50-plus yards, accounting for 13 of the Eagles' 25 points in week 1. And in week 2, he may have missed from 50-plus. But that 61-yard field goal right before the buzzer at halftime was a massive momentum changer in this game. If you remember, the Vikings are on this 2-minute drill, and they're driving downfield. Cousins hits Justin Jefferson on a big play that gets him to the half-yard line. He fumbles the ball out of bounds. Credit to Terrell Edmonds for making that play and dislodging that ball. Touchback Philadelphia. Jalen Hurts and the offense are able to pick up, maneuver, and matriculate down the field a little bit. They get around midfield, and to have a weapon like Jake Elliott, who Nick Sirianni can be like, oh, 61-yard field goal right before recess, go ahead, Jake. And for him to knuckleball that kick through the uprights with some room to spare when it wasn't his best kick, that's crazy. And right now, I think he's the 2nd best kicker outside of Justin Tucker in the National Football League. Let's also segue to this. So far through these 2 games, the Eagles' defensive tackle play has been stellar. And if you love trench play, and if you love scouting young players and overseeing their development to see what they can become down the road, just watch Jalen Carter, watch Jordan Davis do work. because this is a defensive tackle combination that's intriguing, and they could take over the league for the foreseeable future because they are so unique respectively. You have Jalen Carter. I thought he was the best defender in this draft class, better than Will Anderson, more disruptive. The power, quickness, size, brute force, strength aspect of his game is impressive. And then Jordan Davis is a completely unique body type. The guy is 6'6", 340 pounds, and consistently pushes the pocket and can stop the run. But Fletcher Cox has played great football to start the year, and he was banged up going into Thursday night. Don't let his age fool you. Fletcher Cox is still an elite defensive tackle in this game, and Milton Williams, as good of a backup defensive tackle as you can get. Also a good bounce back at off-ball linebacker from week 1 to week 2 for Zach Cunningham. He simply was not good against the Patriots, especially in coverage. Against Minnesota, was better in coverage. 8 tackles, 1 tackle for loss as well. So those are some of my thoughts that really come to my mind when I think about where the Eagles are at right now, some pressing questions. If you have some questions or you have some thoughts and you want to relay them to me, you can always find me on Twitter as well as Instagram at Chase_Senior. Made it easy for all of you. I just made it the same handle on both platforms. So be sure to hit me up and do not be a stranger. I think another super chat came in from David as we were doing that segment. A $10 donation. Appreciate you, David, for being a part of the show. J Blue Gaming, Marina Sands, 570, all in the chat. Here's 570. You're underrated, brother. Thank you, bro. Appreciate that. Look, we have 52,000 subscribers here on the channel, approaching hopefully 1 million views at some point this calendar month. We're crushing it. A lot of people know, but some don't. So thank you, 570. Appreciate that. David Marcella, $10 donation. Morrow had a great game. Jobe needs to put in more work. Did Brown get time? I didn't notice. Sidney Brown got about 4 snaps in that game. It was a steady dosage, of Justin Evans and Terrell Edmonds at safety. I think we might see Sidney Brown at some point down the road, but also credit to Justin Evans. I didn't think he was great week 1 against the Patriots, at least on special teams, though. He punched the football out to force a fumble, and then he was also on the receiving end of recovering a fumble. So if you can make an impact on special teams, you can get the trust of the coaching staff, and you can start to see the field. So we're up to $50 in Super Chats. That's awesome. That's awesome. If we get to $100 in Super Chats, shoot, I'm not scared. Why not continue the bender from last night? I'll shotgun another beer. If we get to $100 in Super Chats, it's Freaky Friday. Anybody who sends in at 10 or more, you're going on the Eagles hard hat. You're going on the Eagles hard hat. Or if anybody out there is enticed and wants to send in a first-time donation, you also get on the hard hat as well, regardless of the dollar value. So far, I'm going to put 570 on the helmet because he sent in 2 5s. So let's get it. You're going on the Eagles hard hat as well. Callie Green, Kylie, David, Marina, J Blue, pacing the chat right now. What we want to do next is round out our Friday show with the mailbag. So get involved. Hop on board. Literally ask me anything. You send in a super chat, we'll answer those first. You have a question, comment, analysis after that, we'll of course answer those as well. A couple of those super chats we can certainly include, even though a couple of them are David Marcella, because they definitely had to do with the game and with the Eagles and stuff like that. So definitely include those off the top, and then we'll get the questions right after that, and we'll be just fine. Let's see here. See where we stand. All right. So, like I said, any super chats that come in 10 or more, you're going on the hard hat. Do a sub-read, if we have one in there. Yeah, let's do that. Get those questions in. Last call here. Good job by Bird Gang Eagles. Good job by Gigante. Marina Sands. Linebackers played great. Offensive line woke up in the running game. And Marina, that's what I was talking about all week. Like, sometimes you just need an easy completion for Jalen Hurts to get going. Or you get the ground game going. And you start to get that momentum and find your footing and matriculate downfield and see those chains get moved. Like, that gets your confidence going. And last night for Philadelphia, a noticeable shift when they went from a pass-happy game plan, stop trying to run Jalen Hurts, lean on the back of DeAndre Swift. He starts to run and throttle that Vikings defense. Eagles' offensive line starts to get creative. They start to get confident as well. And then the Eagles are able to go off the play action, take a couple of shots downfield. And when you run the ball effectively like that, you can't afford to play the same defensive style. So that's why the Eagles were able to take advantage of some of those passing lanes. All right, mailbag coming up to round things out. We're at $50 in Super Chats. If we get to 100 here on the show, we'll shotgun a beer because the weekend is here. Let's party. And right now, let's answer all of your questions. Before we dive into everything on today's Philadelphia Eagles Now, I'm Chase Sr. Thank you so much for being here with us. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. August, best month in the history of this channel. In September, we're looking to break some more records. So if you want to be a part of the movement and the Eagles Now empire, hit that subscribe button. And when you do that, turn on those notifications. Therefore, anytime we go live for a live show or watch party or we push out a regular video, you will be notified. And if you want to become a smarter, more in-tune fan, we got you covered here with shows coming your way on the daily right here on the docket. So we're going to do a mailbag here on Philadelphia Eagles Now and open up the floor. Take all of your questions. The Eagles are 2-0 going into Monday Night Football, Week 3 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and there's plenty to talk about from all of our loyal subscribers. You have questions, I have answers. Let's dive right in. David Marcella getting us started with the $10 Super Chat. I'm glad you said, Britton Covey, they should use Rashad Penny as the punt returner. I can't stand Covey. So what David is referring to here, during our winners and losers segment from that Vikings game, I listed Britton Covey as a loser. We know that he doesn't really add an explosive element to this Eagles special teams unit in the return game. And on Thursday night, he's been elevated from the practice squad each of the first 2 games. Philadelphia can only activate him from the P squad one more time before having to sign him to the official 53-man roster. And if he doesn't improve, could he be on the outside looking in? Can't fumble the football like that. Now, luckily, it was Kelee Ringo who pounced on that football, I believe, and the Eagles did recover it, but still, it's a fine line. And you can't turn the rock over like that because if you lose that fumble, that can change the course of a football game. As for Rashad Penny, he's going to be a running back, doesn't have punt return experience. Maybe Greg Ward, Olamide Zaccheaus, they could step into that role. 5-7-0 with this one. I'm a little bit worried about Jalen Hurts. I certainly see why some people are worried about Jalen Hurts, and we can go to that Sheil Kapadia quote graphic of what he said on his podcast for The Ringer, because when you evaluate Hurts through 2 games, he's looked a little bit indecisive. He's looked a little bit unsure. He's not registering the game as quickly and processing the game as quickly as he did last year. And he's just not pulling the trigger. And he doesn't seem to have that confidence running or throwing that he had last year. And everything right now seems hard. And analytically, he's not off to a good start. Sheil Kapadia with some really good numbers here. There have been 600 quarterback performances going back to the start of last year. Hurts' performance against the Vikings ranked 593 out of 600 in success rate. And the first 2 weeks of the season, his success rate has been lower than in any game all of last year. So the eye test tells you that Hurts struggling a little bit, and the numbers also back that up, that he hasn't found his footing just yet. So I'm not going to hit the panic button here, 5-7-0, about Jalen Hurts. Like, I think he's going to be okay, but also at the same time, if this continues, this is a trend that's a little bit worrisome considering how much money is at play on that Jalen Hurts contract. David Marcella with 10 right here. Nicholas Morrow had a great game. Josh Jobe needs to put in more work. Did Sidney Brown get time? I did not notice. I was pleasantly surprised by Nicholas Morrow, and I thought he was pretty active. Now, with the Chicago Bears back in 2022, yes, it was a bad defense, but he also played a lot. Had over 100 tackles, 11 tackles for loss, and last night, Thursday Night Football, I thought he had some really good range, and I thought that him and Zach Cunningham were really active. Like, to get elevated from the practice squad and to kind of play around the box, make 3 tackles, have a tackle for loss, was pretty good in coverage. He stood out to me. Josh Jobe and Mario Goodrich were 2 players who I thought struggled early just because they're young and inexperienced, and the game flow of an actual NFL game is somewhat difficult to grasp at the start. You're going up against a team with a lot of legitimate weapons. Once they started to settle in a little bit and saw some more playing time, I thought they played a little bit better. Sidney Brown got 4 snaps defensively for the Eagles. I love the player. Hopefully we get to see more of him moving forward, but Terrell Edmunds and Justin Evans did play solid against Minnesota. So up to this point, how would you grade how the Philadelphia Eagles have fared through these 2 games? A, B, C, D, or F? I want you to let me know down in the comment section right now what you think of the Eagles' performance thus far. Before we continue to move forward with more of your questions, today's Eagles Now is sponsored by True Classic. I'm wearing one of their polos here on the show. And for the Bird Gang, 25% off when you use the promo code CHAT at trueclassic.com/chat. This is the athletic material for one of their polos. It's very comfortable, and the wrinkles disappear as you kind of wear these shirts as well. And with True Classic as well, it's something that you can add to your wardrobe, and it's very affordable with high-quality products as well. So we're going to go ahead and put that link down in the comment section as well as in the description of this video. Always like to take a minute to talk about these polos that I'm wearing from True Classic, my go-to destination for polos, tees, shorts, jeans, and other closet essentials. I love how their shirts fit and feel, offering us guys premium products without the premium price tag. Believe me, once you try these shirts from True Classic, you'll never go back to regular basics. But seriously, whatever you choose can't go wrong with True Classic. That's promo code ChatSports at trueclassic.com/chatsports. Once again, we're going to put that link in the comment section and in the description of this video. Again, it's trueclassic.com/chatsports with that promo code ChatSports for that deal to apply. More questions here on the slate. J Blue Gaming, how hyped are you for the Philly Bulldogs or the Georgia Eagles? That tweet from Jeremy Fowler, Chip, was awesome as well because he outlined what the Philly Bulldogs were able to do against the Vikings on Thursday night. And look, it's a funny strategy, right? Everybody was making fun of Howie Roseman for it. You take Jalen Carter at 9, you get Nolan Smith at 30, you get Kelee Ringo in that 4th round, you trade for DeAndre Swift on day 3 of the draft. And it's like, well, yeah, you're drafting and acquiring a lot of Georgia Bulldogs and Alabama players, but they've been the best teams in college football, and they're really good players. And look at the impact that they had against the Vikes. DeAndre Swift, 28 carries, 175 yards with a touchdown. Jordan Davis, 1 sack and 2 quarterback hits. Jalen Carter, 1 tackle for loss. Kelee Ringo had that 1 fumble recovery. So these Bulldogs, they're playing. They're doing some impressive things for Philly, and they're making Howie Roseman look like a very, very smart man. Chualor, how should the Eagles clean up their penalties? Yeah, they could get a little bit better with some of their penalties. I'm not sure that they've been off-penalized to the point where it's become a massive concern. But, of course, the penalties continue, and you lack that discipline. That's not good. But I actually thought the Minnesota Vikings were the more undisciplined team on Thursday night. Eagles fan Kylie Caperton, do you think that we will get rid of Brian Johnson? Anybody out there who's saying fire Brian Johnson after 2 games, relax a little bit. We knew it was going to be a tall task for him to replace Shane Steichen. What Shane Steichen's done in his NFL career has been really impressive. What he did week 1 with Anthony Richardson, who threw 17 touchdowns and 9 picks last year at Florida and completed just over 50% of his passes, also impressive. Justin Herbert, with Steichen as his offensive coordinator with the Chargers, had a career record-setting rookie season. We saw the growth that happened with Jalen Hurts. We can't expect this Eagles offense to go from Steichen to Brian Johnson seamlessly, especially when he didn't have an opportunity to call plays for these starters in the preseason. Now, week 1, I hated the game plan. You didn't target Dallas Goedert. You barely gave DeAndre Swift any touches. I didn't like some of the play calls and the play designs. But in week 2, credit to Brian Johnson for making some adjustments. They went from trying to pass it early to running it. Then they ran for more than 250 yards, which then opened up the pass game and some of those explosive plays. So sometimes for a coordinator, got to give them credit for adjusting on the fly. Avonte, Josh Jobe, in my opinion, got cooked. How do you feel about him knowing he may be a starter if Maddox is out? So I think Mario Goodrich would be the one who would get those slot nickel snaps instead of Josh Jobe, because he's the one who, all throughout training camp, when Maddox was out with that toe injury, was the player who stepped in there. And you kind of look at what the Eagles have at their disposal right now. James Bradberry comes back out of concussion protocol. Hopefully he can play week 3 against the Bucs. He moves back outside. You have Darius Slay outside. And then in that slot, it can also be a combination of players. But also, could Joe be better on the inside? Does he maybe lack the talent and the speed to cover true outside wide receivers? Usually guys in the slot are a little bit slower, so maybe that aids him a little bit. Mario Goodrich has some ability. I thought that as the game progressed, Jobe and Goodrich were able to play better ball after they both had some rocky starts. Avonte with another one. It's the same one, actually. Josh Jobe got cooked. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. The good news is, the trade deadline isn't going to be here for a little while. So, Philadelphia is going to be able to kind of assess and address this situation as we move forward in the coming weeks. Sean the Kid, any concerns about the play calling moving forward? With Sean Desai, I think he's done a pretty good job. Like for the Eagles defense, to play pretty well on Thursday night going up against a desperate team. They wanted to avoid going 0-2. They have some really good weapons with Justin Jefferson and TJ Hawkinson, Jordan Addison, KJ Osborne. You're without James Bradberry. Avonte Maddox got hurt in that second quarter. You don't have Nakobe Dean. You don't have your starting safety. Everybody's going to look at the points scored and the yards that Kirk Cousins threw for, because he threw for well over 300 yards and 3 or 4 touchdowns, right? But the style of the game dictated the Vikings' game plan and what they had to do offensively. They were down the entire game. That's why they had to pass so much. The Eagles went up 27-7, and that's why they stood back in some of that conservative defense. Eagles MVP this season has been who? You can drop me a name down below in the comment section. DeAndre Swift, certainly the MVP of game number 2, but through 2 games, Eagles MVP might be Swift, might be Jalen Carter, might be Darius Slay. Honestly, it could be Jake Elliott, because the man has been money. Another one here. I'm a Cowboys fan, so keep the bias in mind. But, man, Jalen Hurts has not played well these past 2 games. Was his play style figured out, or did the OC make him change? He isn't looking good. Yeah, he hasn't looked great first 2 games. And I'm not going to panic about it too much, as I've continued to state. It's way too early for that. You see some of the ability. I mean, the long ball to DeVonta Smith for that 63-yard touchdown, he had a defender right in his face. He took a big hit. Arm motion got stopped short, yet delivered that football on stride. He hit earlier DeVonta Smith on another long ball. Week 1 against the Patriots, he had struggled. Pass should have been complete downfield to A.J. Brown. He's made some really good plays. Nothing has been there in the running game for him. The pick that he threw against Minnesota, blatantly threw into double coverage. I didn't like that. But keep in mind who the Eagles were going up against. Bill Belichick, arguably the greatest defensive head coach in the history of this game. He literally had all offseason to prepare for week 1. Studied this Eagles offense. Brian Flores is a Bill Belichick disciple, and his game plan was really solid. So let Hurts continue to cook, continue to instill confidence in him. But if these types of performances do continue, where he looks hesitant, looks unsure of himself, struggling to really spread the football around, then yes, you start to become a little bit worried. Ernesto, how can the offensive line improve to help give Hurts some more time to find his receivers? I think that's been a part of Jalen Hurts' struggles up to this point. The offensive line has not been good in pass protection. But that's why I was saying, going into week 2, I want to see more DeAndre Swift. You have to give DeAndre Swift some carries. That gets the Eagles' offensive line very confident when they're able to move downhill, allows them to settle in with some of that pass protection. With pass protection, they've not been good. But have they found their identity, and can the run game help the pass game a little bit? I hope so. Bird Gang Eagles, do you think the offense has improved from week 1? I would say that both performances did not inspire a ton of confidence. Now, the second game I thought there were a lot of big takeaways from that. Swift pops off for 175 yards. He was unstoppable, looking like a legit RB1. You established that run. You were successful with Swift and the entire team that ran for 250-plus yards and 3 touchdowns. And then that opened up some of the shots that you can take downfield. They were a little bit better than they were in week 1 when they struggled to convert off opportunities. But look, the Vikings turned the ball over 4 times, and I think the Eagles only converted points on, one of those giveaways potentially? So they have to get better. And last year, they stomped on the opponent's throat so often, so early. They've got out to early leads and leads in general so far to start the season, but it just hasn't looked the same. I do think that the offensive coordinator, going back to that other question, is a big part of that. So we look ahead to week 3 now. Birds, Bucks, down in Tampa. Who do you like? PHI for the Eagles or TB for the Buccaneers? Get those all too early score predictions and game predictions in. And as always, thanks for watching the show here on Eagles Now. Marcelo with another 5. Continues to pace everything. John Alpine said Jake Elliott is the MVP. Marcelo said Jake Elliott. And then predictions for week 3. Bird Gang Eagles, Michael, Chualor, all going with Philadelphia as well. Marcella with that 5. Hurts needs to figure out how to read the zero defense. If he doesn't, then every team will run it. So after that Colts game, I had said, the Colts and Patriots game. So there's a story here. Against the Patriots, and after that Patriots game, I had said, against the Colts last year, Eagles offense really struggled. And Jalen Hurts just wasn't the same quarterback with the aerial attack. Big reason for that. Colts played a lot of single high safety. They played a lot of zero defense. And that took away a lot of what the Eagles like to do and what Jalen Hurts is comfortable with. And now through 2 games, Brian Flores, Bill Belichick doing a lot of the same things. So until the Eagles can show that they can beat that type of defense, defenses are going to continue to run that. Have they found an answer, though, with running the football? And are they now a run team, unlike last year in which they were more of a pass-heavy team? That could be an option. All right, so we're at $55 in Super Chats. Let's do this. If anybody wants to send in a Super Chat within 2 minutes, we'll extend the show. If not, we will sign off, and we'll call it a Friday. Let us know. Friday. Who wants us to continue the show? And if we continue the show, we'll continue to chop it up with everybody. John Alpine, we need to bring Jalen Reagor back, please. I think that's why you had those crying emojis. David, did I win anything tonight? We're not doing a giveaway, but David, as I said a little bit earlier, you do get a gold sticker with DM, and you are going to go on the hard hat here. So there you go. David's on there. 570 just sent in another 5. That resets the Super Chat shot clock. So we're back to running it up to 2 minutes. David, it was a joke. You fooled me, brother. Now, we appreciate you, David. So Marcella and 570. 2 new additions to the Eagles hard hat here. Brian, what's going on, man? How you doing, dude? Good to hear from you. Glad you're here with us. We're about to round out the show unless we continue to get Super Chats. 2-minute Super Chat shot clock is here. I did say if we got to 100, I'll shotgun a beer, and I'll challenge Jason Kelsey with that. Peter Thurmond with the 10. Put me on, bro. Peter, I think I put you on last night.
A real one here.
I put PT on here again. But you know what? Peter Thurmond, we'll put on another PT unless, is there somebody else you want us to put on? Your fine lady, family member, let us know in the chat. You don't have to send in a Super Chat, but let us know, Peter. We'll put another name on there for you. And once again, we reset the Super Chat shot clock. We're 30 away from $100 in donations. Can we get there? Let's get it.
You know what? If we get there, I know you said you shotgun, I'll do a little Little beer bong.
Beer bong?
Beer
All
bong
right.
if we get to 100.
Beer bong and a shotgun from me and Chip. Wife AC from Peter. We love to get the wifeys on the Eagles hard hat. Say less. AC with the gold sticker. Thanks to her man, Peter Thurmond. Sounded like Gus Johnson right there. He like talks in sequences. In Colorado, under Dion, is bringing it to Nebraska.
Are you Gus Johnson?
That's what I was trying to do.
But, like, are you actually him, though?
I
Because
might
it's
be.
very accurate.
I might be. You know,
Scaring me.
Maybe I should start calling games like that during our watch party. And Jalen Hurts taking it to the Vikings. Let's ride. A 5 coming in from Chucky Shoe. He is a first time Super Chatter. 2 claps for Chucky. And a first time Super Chatter gets on the Eagles hard hat here. Any value for a first time Super Chatter, you're going on the hard hat. So Chucky Shoe, same initials as me, CS. And then Dawkins Hero with the 10. You already know. I'll chug a beer with you. Dawkins Hero. Brian Dawkins was my hero growing up and still is my hero. Chip, did you grow up in an era where you didn't really remember watching Brian Dawkins play? How crazy is that? You were more of, what, Quentin Michael, Malcolm Jenkins?
Yeah, honestly, like, my favorite Eagle growing up was always LaShawn McCoy.
Okay.
That's really, I would say around when I was like sort of 9, 10 years old, it's like, 2010, 2011 is like when I really started to get into it. So, Brian Dawkins, I've watched a lot of him now, especially because he went to Clemson,
That's wild.
but never really saw him play, no.
That's crazy. This is a young bull right here, as we would say in the Philly streets. David, how much until we reach 100? We are $16 away, David. Now we're getting even closer. We're 6 away. J Blue Gaming. Love your content. My hero was Donovan McNabb. I think that McNabb will always be underrated and undervalued by Eagles fans. In fact, I don't really like people who rip Donovan McNabb. He gave us Eagles fans, at least my generation, I'm 31 years old, so people older than me are included in that, maybe a little bit younger than me. He gave us great football. A lot of people forget how bad the Eagles were in the mid-90s, at points in the early 90s. Donovan McNabb helped lead the Eagles to 4 straight NFC championship games, a Super Bowl appearance, and during his Eagles tenure, 5 NFC title games. Now, did he win the big one? No. If he would have won the big one, would he be a first ballot Hall of Famer? I believe that to be true. But in the early 2000s, for about a 5-year stretch, the Philadelphia Eagles had the 3rd best quarterback in the NFL. Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Donovan McNabb. Indisputable. So for people who don't realize that, I just don't understand it. Again, didn't win the big game, and that's all that matters. I get it. But he gave us Eagles fans some great, great moments as I was growing up. And I'm forever faithful to Donovan and grateful for his tenure in Philly, pairing up with Andy Reid. So J Blue Gaming will go JBJ. Marcella gets us over 100. There we go. Shotgun and a beer bong coming up. J Blue Gaming. Marcella with another one, over 100 now. My favorite Eagle is Keith Byers, Randall Cunningham, Brian Dawkins, and then Brian Westbrook and Brian Dawkins. Nice. I'll just take a happy dad. Yeah. Over 100 now. My favorite Eagle was Keith Byers, Randall Cunningham, Brian Dawkins, then Brian Westbrook and Brian Dawkins. So twice mentioning Brian Dawkins. All great Eagles right there. Keith Byers, great player. Randall Cunningham. It's unfortunate that he kind of clashed with Buddy Ryan, and that's probably Buddy Ryan's fault, right? Didn't really let Randall Cunningham cook. Brian Dawkins, legend. Brian Westbrook, a lot of people forget, in the early 2000s when fantasy football really started to gain popularity across America, Brian Westbrook was like the best player in fantasy football for a couple of years because at that point, Andy Reid was including him a lot in the screen game, pass game. Very few running backs were doing that at the time. And as a running back, he was tremendous. So I'm going to heart all those super chats that have come in today. Good looks. Appreciate it. Texas holding money. Favorite Eagle, Jeremiah Trotter, the Axeman, who played at Stephen F. Austin. Great linebacker for this team. They let him go initially, then they brought him back. That was a great move. All right. Oh, yeah? Allie's down to clown? Should we challenge Jason Kelce on a beer shotgun? I think that we should challenge Jason Kelce with the beer shotgun. Should we challenge Kelce? We'll take a video of it. Y for yes or N for no? Y for yes, N for no. Should we challenge Jason Kelce to a shotgun contest? Will Baker said Trent Cole. Dawkins Hero said yes. 570 said yes. Chucky Shue said yes. Chewalore, Nick Stone saying yes as well. All right, let's do it. Let's challenge Jason Kelce. So, Chip, I'm going to have you record this as you're about to come on and then do your beer bong. We're just going to make this a YouTube short. You can just come and record it on my phone, actually. Yeah. All right, we're challenging Jason Kelce. And my goal is to get this down in less than 4 seconds. You can just take it from there. Yep. Jason Kelce, this message is for you. I know that you like to take down beers, and you drink those beers very quickly. We do the same here on Eagles Now. We're live, and I challenge you to a beer shotgunning contest. If it's not during the season, off-season works out as well. Let's go, and go Birds. Jason Kelce, our hero, your move. All right, let's go. Jason Kelce, your move, brother. Challenging you live on Eagles Now. Michael Hepp, challenge him if you want to make him laugh. Hey, we'll see if he sees it. We'll see if he sees it. Up past $104 in donations. Dawkins here. If Kelce chugged a beer every time somebody challenged him on social media, he'd be dead. Yeah, for real. But my man, we drink Das Boot here, and we've had Jeremy Chugs take it down in like 8 to 10 seconds. Kelce might be able to even beat that number. It's wild. All right, Chip. Chip's about to come on and do his beer bong. Everybody type Chip. Now, what does girlfriend Allie want to do with her drinking? What's she willing to do here on this Friday?
Hold on. Girlfriend Allie. Whoa, wrong one.
Oh, barefoot. Yeah, my bad. Okay, I thought you were well, Allie's always in the chat, so I thought you were talking about Allie G. Barefoot. Okay.
Barefoot says she's down to drink.
Okay. All right. So here's the deal. We hired Allie barefoot. We'll make a deal. We hired Allie barefoot a few weeks ago. She's off to an awesome start. Great addition to the office. Some of you saw her a couple of weeks ago here on the show, and now she's even helping us move items into our new studio. That's a real one right there. Getting real gritty. So if we get a $50 super chat, Allie Barefoot will come on here, and she'll do a beer bong. And she's a Commanders fan, but she's willing to come here on Eagles Now, come on to Eagles Now, and do a beer bong. So it's up to y'all. $50, Allie Barefoot comes on the show, and she does her beer bong. If we get 50 all together in the next 2 minutes, that works as well. This will be known as the Barefoot Fund. The Barefoot Fund. 2 minutes to get 50. The pressure's on you. If not, we'll sign off and we'll call it a day. In the meantime, everybody type Chip in the chat. Jay Blue, Nick Stone, Peter Thurman, Dawkins Hero, 570. All type in Chip. Chip, 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 Chip. Go Birds! Let's ride. That's all foam in there. I can confirm. It was a very foamy beer bong. Good job by Chip. Xavier Sedano Shorts. Typing Chip in the chat. We're at 45 seconds and counting on our clock here. Who's going to get her done? There's 10 from Peter. We need 40 more for a barefoot beer bong. 1 minute left on the clock. We need 40. We can do it collectively. She just said, come on, y'all. She's a Commanders fan. She's calling Eagles fans soft. She's saying, y'all won't. Y'all won't. We're up to 125. Peter Thurman, legend, saying, let's go. We'll pop that super chat up, Pete. Jake just had to get rid of that foam from the beer bong. Come on. 20 seconds left on the 2-minute shot clock. We'll give you about a 20-second delay as well. We're 40 away from a Commander fan doing a beer bong here on Eagles Now. We'll bring back Allie. Peter Thurman, let's go. Appreciate you, brother. Dawkins here. I'm saving that money for the beer. LOL. Cheers, homies. Hey, you can support the show by liking the video, commenting, and subscribing. That's all that we need. All right, we just hit 2 minutes. David, how much have I spent today? Let's see. You sent in the 10, 5, 25, 35, 55, David. So let's give David Marcella, L3, Super Chat MVP, David Marcella. We'll give you that, David. You'll be our Super Chat MVP for today. Because you're always an MVP in our hearts. Speaking of David Marcella, he deserves a real one roll call. Everybody type DM in the chat. Type DM in the chat. David, not worried about that. I want her to drink at our hearts. Well, we're 40 away from getting that 50. Barefoot said, I'm not doing it unless you get 50. That is the rule that she put down, and it's the rule that I have to follow here. Marcella, what a legend. I'm going to put up that video of us challenging Jason Kelce to the shotgun. All right, putting out the short here. Marcella, Super Chat MVP. So this is what y'all should do, really. A lot of you just have the icons for your first initial as your profile picture. If you change it to a picture of you and you become one of our Super Chat MVPs, we'll actually get your picture on the screen like this. So instead of a D, it can just be a selfie of you, a picture of you, and everybody can get to know the name and the face. So we'll just throw that out there for future reference.
Big shout out to David. On a Friday, coming in, helping us drink. It's 5 o'clock. It's 5 o'clock. We got to get Allie to drink. Can it be a picture of anything? Anything?
Anything, we might have some rules. yourself to let people know how you're rocking, that's what we'll do. That's what we'll do. Anything, it can get a little bit risky out on these streets. I just saw a comment. My picture will never change from Michael Heft. First pick of me and my wife. Oh, that's awesome. Can we grab that photo? We'll grab that photo, Michael Heft. David Marcella, I'm ugly though. That's good stuff. So here he is. This is Michael Heft. First photo of him and his wife right here on the show. What field is that? Looks like a minor league field. First photo, you and the wifey. That's awesome, Michael. Good stuff right there. All right, we're about to sign off here on Eagles Now. Unless we get that 40 to bring on Allie. Peter Thurman, mine will never change when I got my new tee from you guys that I ordered. Let's show his photo. We got to show Peter's photo. Hey, it's a Friday. We're hanging out. We're chilling. This is an epic photo. This is Peter Thurman, who got himself a Real One shirt and then took a photo of himself at Lincoln Financial Field rocking it. That's what you call a Real One. Here it is. Peter Thurman, Real One roll call. Type PT in the chat.
Peter!
Type PT in the chat. David Marcella said, wait. Uh-oh. What's David cooking?
Let David cook. Let David cook. What you got going on, David? Like Walter White in the lab. What's he cooking?
What are you cooking? Oh! David! 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 E-A-G-L-E-S! Eagles! Give him that MVP again. Give him that MVP. Let's go, Barefoot. Fill up that beer bong. She sees me. Yeah. Marcella with the hammer. He said, wait. Here you go. Drink. Last one for me. David, you're the man, dude. Everybody clap it up for David. Everybody type D for David.
David, we got to get a picture of you up here now. We have to.
I know, David. It's only right you change that profile picture. You said, but I'm ugly. You're not ugly. You're a legend. Legends are never ugly. All right, here comes Barefoot. Let's go, let's go. It's Friday. All right, everybody type AB now. AB for Allie Barefoot. Commander fan, but a real one. A real one, of course. So you got the Murbanga. Let's go. Yeah, let's get it. A-B, 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 A-B. Let's go. Allie Barefoot, ladies and gentlemen. Touche. Thank you. David Marcella, you made it possible. $50 super chat. We appreciate everybody who tuned into the show today, recapping Eagles-Vikings Thursday Night Football and getting everybody set to have a fantastic weekend. For Chip, for Allie, I'm Chase, all of you, the real ones, we out. EAGLES. Go Birds. Peace.